This is the eHealth Radio Network, your source for health advice on demand. And now your host, Eric Michaels.
Thanks for joining us once again here on the eHealth Radio Network. This is your host, Eric Michaels. eHealth Radio gives you the most current health information, news, and advice featuring some of the leading innovators in healthcare and wellness who are changing healthcare as we know it. For more eHealth Radio reports, we invite you to visit our main radio channel site at eHealthRadioNetwork.com. Today we're speaking with, once again, Meagan Leigh Cohn, the owner and operator at Lotus Healing and Wellness Centre in Sydney, Australia, that offers energetic healing, meditation, and holistic beauty therapy. Meagan, thanks for joining us once again here on eHealth Radio.
Oh, hi, Eric. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
And we certainly want to thank you for your time and for joining us here today. So looking at meditation today, tell us, for starters, what is meditation?
Sure, thank you. Well, I love that we can start with the basics of what it actually is, because in the West it has become a lot more mainstream now compared to, say, 10, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So I think a lot of people are aware of meditation, but in the West we have turned it into an umbrella term for everything from relaxation, breath work, mindfulness, creativity. Some even say that the exercise is their meditation, or they might say, I can't stop thinking, I can't stop the mind, but exercise is my meditation. And so there's a lot of different definitions or umbrella terms around it, but so I find it such a broad topic, an incredible practice that offers so much to us on every level of our being, that I find it tricky to define in a nutshell. But my basic definition of meditation is that it is a practice, a tool, a means to train the mind to occupy more often a calm, positive, non-reactive, non-judgmental outlook and state on life and situations. It's also a way to access other states of consciousness aside from the usual day-to-day mundane state where there's the inner dialogue, which sort of goes on, the inner chatter, which is so oftentimes excessive or random. It's kind of constant. It can be quite critical. It can be quite fearful. And for a lot of people, it's very repetitive or, just generally unhelpful. So it's a tool to be able to train our minds. It's mind training. But because the mind-body connection is so well known now as well, yes, we're working with the mind and the brain first and foremost, but that's going to benefit the whole body and the whole being and the emotional aspect of ourselves as well. So I also like to mention at this point in time, what it isn't, because a lot of people think that meditation is the practice of sitting still, shutting your eyes and stopping thought. And so they say, I can't meditate, I can't do that, my mind's too busy, I can't do it. And we could all say that, really, because to sit and to stop thought after, millions of years of evolution, to be sort of, I suppose we're wired that way for survival, for our ancestors, to assess dangers or threats or predators. But this is a maladaptive response, a maladaptive sort of evolution. It hasn't kept up with our modern lifestyles. So, it's been said that we have around 50,000 to 80,000 thoughts per day. So to think that we can just sit and stop that is a big demand on ourselves and can set us up for failure, and nobody likes that. But what we can do is we can take our conscious awareness away from that inner chatter, that constant random inner dialogue. And with the ongoing practice, we can train our minds to let those thoughts continue to bubble away in the background or off to the side, while we train ourselves to continually bring our awareness back to a deeper or broader aspect of ourselves, or to the bird's eye view, if you like, sort of like that perspective of the witnessing awareness, of simply observing the thoughts coming and going, not being churned up in them, not being churned up by life's happenings, but kind of that witnessing awareness, just observing. And this in itself brings us gradually to more of a calm state. It's in the most ancient teachings of what meditation is. It's part of the 8 limbs of yoga. So it's the 8th limb of the eight limbs. So there's a whole process to really prepare ourselves to get to that as well. A lot of training and practice and commitment is kind of required. I mean, having said that, I'm not a very disciplined person myself, but even I can do it, so anyone can. But it does take that kind of training and commitment and that ongoing practice to get to that, to find that peace and stillness and calm inside, which is the touchstone of meditation. It should sort of be the most simple thing ever to be able to sit and get into a peaceful, calm state. And yet we've kind of evolved away so far from that natural state for perhaps our survival purposes, indeed. But nowadays, we can worry less about the predators or physical threats or, again, that maladaptive stress response that we have wired in our brains that hasn't evolved as quickly, as I say, as our lifestyles have, so that we can cultivate more peace in our minds and therefore in our lives. And as we do that, it's going to be precipitating into our relationships, in our homes, into our communities, extending out into the community. So anyway, I get excited about meditation, and I go on a couple of tangents there, but that's my general gist on what is meditation.
Well, certainly appreciate the full coverage, and it is most helpful. Now, this may be a bad question, but why should anyone even think about meditating?
Yeah, well, I have sort of named some of those benefits already that come from meditation, but, I heard a recent study, for example, that found that 74% of adults in the past year were so stressed they felt unable to cope. So that's a huge number. It just sort of points towards the fact that we are in a point where we've got an epidemic in our global community of stress, of anxiety. So that anxiety affects, it's been said, 1 in 4 people, or about 30% of adults. And that's more just the really sort of acute, inflamed anxiety that's been reported or treated. This doesn't even name the sort of lower level chronic anxiety that's pretty prevalent even in our children now. We've also got an epidemic of mental health issues aside from anxiety. There's also, not to sound too morbid or negative or anything, but we've also got an epidemic of loneliness, and as well suicide's a huge issue. So all these things just point towards the fact of, like, even if an individual person doesn't feel like they have that level of severity of stress in their life or anxiety, but they're still living in a community, a society, a world where things are prevalent. And so there is a sort of collective consciousness. We do all affect one another. So this is why I think it's that lovely Chinese proverb, if there's peace or harmony in the person, there's peace and harmony in the home, peace and harmony in the home, peace and harmony in the community, and so on and so forth, to include the country and the world. So we are all affected by these happenings and these statistics. So the effects and results of regular meditation, it's so simple, it's so accessible. It's simple, but it's not always easy meditation, but it can be done in home for free. It can be done anywhere, anytime, really. And so it's available for anyone and everyone. And not only has the benefits of the mental landscape to bring about a state of more calm and clarity, but this calm and clarity will translate into the cells of the body, because the mind-body connection is well proven now. I think everybody's quite familiar with that as well. So that calm and clarity that's gained through meditation will go into precipitate into the body to promote health, physical health and wellness. And so if someone has stress in their lives, and who doesn't, it will help to reduce the absolutely toxic effects of that and support the body to deal with that and process stress chemicals more efficiently. It's also going to reduce inflammation. So we've also got many, many people that have low-level chronic inflammation. This contributes to anxiety. This contributes to illness. There's also that staggering statistic that up to 98% of all doctors' visits have stress as the underlying cause. So this is huge. That's a huge number. So meditation is a tool, and it's so simple that anyone can use any time to really turn that statistic around and get out of that cycle and that loop. So I think there's some really good reasons why we can all adopt a practice as well. And if I may also share one other story that I quite enjoy, the HeartMath Institute in America, they've done phenomenal work in the bridge between spirituality and science, but it's very grounded, practical, evidence-based, where it shows that when someone cultivates calm, appreciation, more joy, more peace within themselves, the effect that it has on everyone around them. And this has been proven time and time again. So not only is it going to be a health benefit on every level for the individuals, but it's going to benefit the people that they interact with and move around amongst, their family, even moving through shopping centres, moving through their communities. It's going to be a service to the community as well, we can say. There was that project, I wish I could remember what it was called, where they sent 10,000 Buddhist monks into different pockets of the world that really needed help, into some war-torn areas even. And what they found was, as they sent them there to meditate on peace, that was their duty, their purpose, their experiment, and they would meditate on world peace and compassion and kindness. And the crime rates, the violent crime rates, the incidents of car accidents, emergency room admissions, and there were many, many statistically significant reductions in the time that these projects were taking place. So it's another example of why we can meditate, not just for our own personal benefit and gain, but for the greater good.
Now, Meagan, another question for you. I understand there are various meditation styles. What meditation style is the best or most effective?
Yes, you're right. There's so many forms of meditation, and my answer might irritate other meditation teachers or practitioners, I'm not sure, because I always think different strokes for different folks. Everybody's so individual and so different that there's going to be different methods and modalities that are helpful for every different person. And at different points in my life, for example, sometimes I've loved Zen, for example, just sitting in silence or coming back to the breath for Vipassana meditation. Or if my mind's more busy or I'm going through a really challenging time in life, guided meditation has been really helpful. To have that voice, that person guiding me through the process has been so helpful. So different people, different practitioners will argue that their style of meditation is the best or most powerful or offers the most benefit. But my opinion is that it's going to be different for everyone at different times. So having said that, mantra meditation, for example, have been said to be some of the most effective. But for Dr. Herbert Benson, who's an amazing American doctor, and he's been a great bridge between the East and the West, if you like, and bringing meditation into the mainstream. He's an American medical doctor and cardiologist. He's the founder of the Mind Body Medical Institute in Massachusetts General Hospital. It's really interesting. But he did a certain study a while ago, this was back in the 60s or 70s, where they were studying mantra meditation, and it made no difference if the mantra, the word that was being repeated, was an ancient Sanskrit word, or if it was the word one, the number one, or Coca-Cola, or something very meaningless or neutral or benign, and that appeared to make no difference whatsoever. My opinion on that is that it still gave the mind, the thinking mind, something to chew on, something to work with while the meditation can start to take place. The consciousness can start to go into a more calm state. So I would say there is no one single best or most effective style of meditation.
And certainly do appreciate your input. Most helpful today. We are with Meagan Leigh Cohn, the owner and operator at Lotus Healing and Wellness Centre in Sydney, Australia, that offers energetic healing, meditation, and holistic beauty therapy here on eHealth Radio, stress management, and health news channels, a part of the eHealth Radio Network. Now, tell us, how often should someone meditate?
This again is an answer that I think might irritate some other meditation teachers, because I'm not very strict, and again, not always very disciplined. However, ideally, in an ideal world, we could say 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night, fantastic. Or even an hour in the morning, an hour at night, even better. That's amazing. But if that doesn't feel available or accessible in people's busy lives, even as little as 3 minutes to start with is good. 3 to 5 minutes. And I like to also throw that in there as well as the option, because it's very non-committal. And if people say, I'm too busy, I can't manage, you know what? Set a timer for 3 minutes. Anyone can manage 3 minutes, surely, for your wellness, for your health. So once that timer goes after 3 minutes, usually think, that was really lovely. I really enjoyed that. I'm going to go for another 3 minutes. And so we can gradually build upon that as it seems to be more available to us. So it can be even days. As I say, I'm not as disciplined as I would perhaps like. So in the past 15 to 20 years that I've been practicing, if a day has gone by and I think, oh my gosh, I haven't meditated at all today, before I go to sleep at the end of the day, I'll just take 1, 2, or 3 really deep, refreshing, conscious breaths. Because that in itself is enough to be a meditation. I like how Eckhart Tolle's definition of meditation, so simple, is 1 conscious breath in and out is a meditation. So even just at the end of the day, to take that moment of mindfulness is also a good start if someone hasn't already started their practice or has let life get away from them and has neglected their practice of late. So it can also be something that's done daily. If people find it's hard to carve out time to sit quietly, undisturbed, especially if they have family, they're running a household, they're working a lot of hours, whatever the case may be, they can implement it into, mindfully doing the dishes, just really being present in the moment. Mindful shower, mindful hand washing, drinking a cup of tea, but being really present with the aromas, the flavor, the feeling of the warm cup in the hand, anything like that. Even going for a walk in nature, or even eating, or even doing housework, the most mundane day-to-day things. So it can be implemented for anyone and everyone, and ideally we would bring it in one way or another daily.
Meagan, really appreciate your visit with us. Most helpful per your expertise. And, of course, you mentioned 20 years in practice. That says a lot right there. If listeners wanted to get in touch with you and to get more information on Lotus Healing and Wellness Centre there in Sydney, where's the best place to get further information?
Thank you. I'd love people to come visit my website. The website is lotushealing.com.au, and I'm also on Instagram, Lotus Healing, Lotus_healing, and on Facebook, but my website is lotushealing.com.au.
And that certainly works, and you've certainly got the bases covered as well. Again, Meagan, all the best, and thanks so much for joining us once again here on eHealth Radio.
Thank you so much, Eric. It's been a joy to connect with you and the listeners.
And we, of course, want to thank you for your time once again. We've been speaking with Meagan Leigh Cohn, the owner and operator at Lotus Healing and Wellness Centre in Sydney, Australia, that offers energetic healing, meditation, and holistic beauty therapy. And for further information, visit lotushealing.com.au. And again, this has been your host, Eric Michaels, and we do thank you for your continued support of the eHealth Radio Network. Join us again soon for another episode that will help further expand your knowledge on those things that are important to your health and wellness. For more eHealth Radio reports, we invite you to visit our main radio channel site at eHealthRadioNetwork.com. And as always, we do thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in to the eHealth Radio Network. For more information or to subscribe to this podcast, visit eHealthRadioNetwork.com.